playthrough of Choo Choo Charles. If you don't know what this game's all about, it's about a giant spider train inhabiting an island, and we were enlisted by a character called Eugene to come and try and defeat this train. Eugene died right at the start of the game, but he gave us a train which we've been upgrading with new weapons and armor, as well as doing side quests for the various inhabitants of the island, trying to take down Charles. Now we have to collect up 3 eggs to do so. By collecting these 3 eggs, we make Charles mortal and therefore killable. We got one of these eggs in part 1, as well as doing a slew of side quests, which gave us a new weapon in the form of a flamethrower. So in part 2, we're going to be continuing with more side quests and more story missions, trying to collect up those eggs and defeat Charles once and for all. But for now, let's continue our adventure as we dive into Tales. Candice is a young woman who has been asked to pass on scrap metal to the archivist by Eugene. Her mission is very simple. We just need to access the 2nd floor of her house, unlock the door, and collect the scrap within. The next side quest sees us meeting up with Tony Tiddle, a gruff old cowboy who has a barn full of scrap for us to pillage. The 3rd mission is a little more advanced. We meet Daryl, a brutish man who has been punching a chest to try and open it. The chest is locked up tight, and so Daryl offers us a lockpick set to try and crack it. This requires hitting several points on a rotating wheel at just the right time. Eventually the chest opens and we discover an ancient stone tablet within. Return this to Daryl and we are rewarded with scrap. In the depths of the swamplands lives the unhinged witch Lisbeth Murkwater. She tasks the player with finding a key ingredient for her stew pot, the rotting carcass of a fish that has washed up on a nearby beach. To retrieve the fish, we must wade through the murky swamp while being careful to evade a monstrous creature living beneath its surface known as Barry. Return the carcass to Lisbeth and her recipe is complete, but let's not stick around for a taste test. Sergeant Flint can be found stood outside a burning barn. He explains that he built a flamethrower called Bug Spray to try and combat Charles, but accidentally set his lab ablaze while testing it out. By putting out the inferno with a nearby water tower, we are in return gifted the Bug Spray weapon, which can then be fitted to the train to help fight against Charles. By the docks along the coastline, we meet Santiago, who has packed up his bags and is waiting for the next boat from the mainland to arrive so he may escape. However, he has forgotten his precious diary, and so we must travel across the island to his house, collect it up, and return it. Doing so rewards us with more scrap to upgrade our arsenal. The next character is John Flynn, a gunsmith with an axe to grind against Warren Charles III. Warren had many of his miners move their families out to the island so he could better control any potential information from making its way to the mainland. Many of these families ended up dying to the rampant spider train, and it seems John's was one of them. John has built a rocket launcher and offers to loan it out to the archivist in return for taking the fight to both Warren and Charles. To procure the launcher, we must first journey to a nearby bunker, use explosives to blow it open, and then retrieve the ammunition stashed inside. Theodore is found at the train depot in the centre of the island. He tasks us with collecting up a mysterious box which has fallen into the hands of a camp of nearby cultists. If we return this box to Theodore in one piece, then we are rewarded with scrap metal to upgrade our train in return. After making our way to the lighthouse along the coastline, we encounter a young woman named Claire, nursing a broken leg after a close encounter with Charles. We learn from Claire that the remaining members of the community have banded together and are plotting to take Warren down. They also need to find a way off the island, and so getting the lighthouse back in working order so they can signal for help is paramount. With this in mind, Claire asks the archivist to seek out 4 fuses and repair the lighthouse. Once this task is complete, it shines back to life and signals the mainland for help. The next side quest is another random one which lampoons popular indie horror game Slender: The Eight Pages. A woman named Sasha has been haunted by a local ghost in the woods. This ghoulish figure has been pinning up strange drawings of the spider train by night, and Sasha is too afraid to brave the woods and remove them, so asks if we will complete this task in return for some scrap. The mission plays out exactly like Slender: The Eight Pages, as with each page we collect, the ghost becomes faster and more relentless. Collecting up all pages seems to banish them back to the grave.
Get free shipping with Shopee. Shop for your favorite health and
Collecting up all pages seems to banish them back to the grave. One of the oddest side quests is surely that involving the Pickle Lady.
I ate the last jar of pickles I had in my house, and there's only one jar of pickles left on the island. My secret jar of pickles, locked away inside my pickle cave.
After asking us to retrieve her precious pickles from the Pickle Cave, we must make our way to an old mine site and pick the lock of the chest located within. Inside is the jar of pickles, and if we return them, the Pickle Lady gleefully hands over a bunch of scrap as payment for our trouble. Ronnie is the most unlikable character on the island. He talks down to the archivist as he demands they climb a nearby tower to retrieve a folder full of worker records from a filing cabinet at the top. These records were confiscated by Warren so that none of his workers could sue him, and Ronnie wishes to do just that. Payback for the danger that he has been subjected to at the hands of his old employer. This mission requires some nifty platforming skills as we must scale 2 separate towers, leaping between them where necessary. Eventually we retrieve the files and return them to Ronnie for some scrap. The final side quest belongs to this rather angry woman named Gertrude. She lost her husband Bob to the spider train and now wishes to see justice for his untimely demise. Gertrude sees the archivist as the executioner, the one to exact that sweet revenge against Charles, and so offers up parts of a deadly Gatling gun to help destroy him. The only catch is that the rest of the gun is under cult ownership at one of their bases further inland, so we must journey to this base, destroy the cult, and then retrieve the other half of the gun. Upon doing so, we construct this very powerful endgame weapon, a weapon we name Bob in memory of Gertrude's late husband. With the needs of the people fulfilled, it's time for our hapless hero to finally take down Charles and save the island from his murderous reign. To do this, we must collect up the 3 eggs. Each of these eggs is kept under lock and key within one of the various mine shafts around the island, guarded by the cultists that work for Warren. However, their locations are known by 3 characters. These characters are Helen, Greg, and Gale. Each of these people mark an egg location on our map, and it is then up to the archivist to sneak through the mines and swipe each egg from right under the noses of the cultists on patrol. Once all 3 eggs have been retrieved, then we meet up with Eugene's son Paul at the Anarirum Municipal Building.
If you haven't already heard from the others, the mine boss Warren is protecting dangerous monster eggs that could lead to catastrophe. While our main plan is to summon Charles into a duel and fight him to the death, we've devised a perfect trap as a precaution that may help defeat him.
Paul explains that to defeat Charles we must place the eggs in a prism located in the heart of the island's temple. This will summon Charles, though he will also become more powerful to boot, drawing power from the eggs as they are drained by the temple's prism. This is exactly what Warren is trying to avoid, but unlike Warren, Paul believes there is a way to defeat Charles. His master plan involves rigging explosives to the tallest bridge on the island and then detonating them as the arachnid terror chases the archivist across. This plan is only possible if Charles is enraged by the destruction of his eggs and sufficiently damaged during the battle that follows. And so, the plan is decided. We plant the explosives and then head over to the temple where the eggs are placed down and Charles is summoned, but not before Warren shows up to try and stop the archivist first.
Step away from the shrine, stranger. You don't know what you're doing. Just put the egg down slowly and lay flat on the ground. You'll hurt far too many people if you follow through with whatever you're planning.
No! No! You fool! You've doomed us all! I don't want to die! No!
Warren and his cult members meet a sticky end at the hands of Charles, who proceeds to chase down the Archivist as they speed towards the rigged bridge on their train. A long and perilous battle follows. Charles is now both more powerful and dangerous than ever before in his evolved Hell form. But eventually the two opponents reach the bridge, and Paul detonates the explosives, sending the spider train hurtling down into the valley below, where he is impaled on a spike and finally dies. All seems well. The islanders have been saved, Warren and his cult defeated, and the spider train vanquished. However, beneath the surface of the island in the uncharted cave systems, a shocking discovery is made. Thousands of new eggs have been laid, each containing a new demonic train to rain down terror upon humanity should they hatch, meaning that this is very much a story to be continued down the line. And with that, we come to the end of this look at the